Record. And yeah, welcome all to I think this is number 6 in the series on grief, as we talk about grief, not just as someone dying, but the whole idea of someone actually going through change that impacts their identity. So today, actually, we're looking at poems that come from the integrating the wisdom part of this. So I'll put the first piece in, I'll read it, and then we'll go from there. Hi, Patricia. Just stick that in the chat and then I'll read it. All right, this one is called Stormy Beauty. Beauty in the eye of the storm. Grace falls from the peace within. When the wind has succumbed and the sky ceases to weep, out of the blue, the graceful emergence of spring. I'll read that again. Beauty in the eye of the storm. Grace falls from the peace within. When the wind has succumbed and the sky ceases to weep, out of the blue, the graceful emergence of spring. What are you hearing? What resonates? What lands? Oh. Patricia, you don't have to raise hands in this one, yeah.
I wasn't sure whether
you're fine. Just go for it.
What came through for me is really the going through something. It's like I said recently, if you're going through hell, just keep going, because the emergence is the word emergence implies that you're going through what you're going through, which is not great. But then the emergence of spring is that new beginning, and I think that is what really resonated for me at the end. It's like listening to the words, but then that it's hope, really, that a new beginning will come from an end of something, or when you go through something. And life is never the same again after grief and loss of any kind, but is it ever meant to be? It's a new beginning, it's a spring, it's an emergence, like the metamorphosis with the butterfly and the caterpillar. So beautiful, short and sweet, and packs a punch as usual.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. And there's a lot I could say about that, but I'd like to hear from other people. Anybody else?
For me, the sentence that really stood out was grace forged from the peace within. Grace forged from the peace within. And the reason why that stood out, because as you think about a storm, when you think about your life, when you think about moments where you're in, for me, it kind of points to say there's always a place within which holds peace. And if you can spend time, if you can just believe that is a fact and that's true and that's known, and if you can spend time and try to find that place and discover that place, and in the midst of anything, always be knowing how to tune into that place, then grace can always be found. The place is always within, regardless of what's happening outside.
I love that. Again, lots I can say about that, but we'll keep going. Yeah, so something about peace within. Yeah, ever-present peace within is what I'm hearing. Patricia was talking about this emergence of spring. In other words, you're going through some turmoil, but just hold on because something is going to come from it. I love that. Anybody else on this?
Well, now I've got the poem in front of me.
Oh, you got it, did you?
Yeah. I was thinking, I just feel like the calm after the storm.
Yeah.
And in every storm, there is always calm to come.
Yeah.
It's just that it's how we perceive it and whether we can receive it. Do we see it? Do we see it?
Now you're putting bars out there. Okay. Yeah, okay.
Because sometimes, yeah, do we perceive it?
Let me see that. Yeah. No, I hear that. And there's something around this idea that, okay, it might actually be difficult when you're going through the real tough part of things.
Yeah.
And that's why pieces like this exist, to kind of say, okay, it doesn't feel like that, but let's just stick with it. The hope, the hope. It's coming, it's there. And then I go to what Silver was saying about this idea that actually maybe you could believe beyond that. Actually, it's always been there, but you can't feel it right now because your focus is consumed by the turmoil or the inconvenience or the discomfort of what you're going through. And so it's the ability to tune in to that inner peace that's powerful. Anybody else on this? Yeah. And another thing I want to say as well is that what we dealt with, and if you've not had the opportunity to look at the series and go back to our last one, we were talking about how you support people through these kind of situations. And somehow maybe that's part of what that support is kind of helping someone to stay grounded in the knowledge that this is not all there will ever be. That there's going to be something else. There is going to be an evolution. There is going to be something coming from it. And as today, as we begin to focus on what are some of the things you can get from what feels like a very negative situation, the first invitation is to think that something good could potentially come of this, because that's always sometimes very hard to see. Okay. Anything else on this before I post the next piece in?
Thank you. Thank you for throwing light on it.
Yeah.
Because I'm coming from the dark room. I've been outside for a long time.
Okay.
I don't know what is going on. So thank you for throwing the light. Simple.
Okay.
So if anybody is going through any difficult time,
yeah,
you must really know that person.
Right.
To know the angle you are going to talk to the person, him or her.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you will add more to the problem.
I'm hearing that.
Otherwise, it will take you as one. He will say it is better you don't talk to him or her rather than coming the angle you come.
Right.
There are some people going through something that you will think the person's is has a fault in what he's going through. But if you go through that and say, well, you too, you shouldn't have. Oh, damn, you're adding more problem.
Oh, I hear that.
You must study whom you want to talk to, whom you want to help, how you will talk to that such person before you just go in. If it's me, it's just to take your time, visit the person, listen, let him or her talk what he's going through. Then you will know the angle to come to such a person. Because you don't know how bitter the thing is. You don't know how serious the thing is.
Yeah.
Because something can just happen and say, oh, it may be a light something to you, but to him, it's a heavy load to the person.
Right.
So you can't just judge straight away. Just have that the angle in a just gentle way. You throw your question in in a soft attitude so that you will know the standard, how it stands, how strong the person is.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that. That's such a great recap of that whole piece about how to support people going through difficulty. And those are just nice, very salient points of don't go rushing in and be sensitive and listen and understand and comprehend and then see how you might come. Because you're right. If you're trying to push people through the storm and say, oh, don't worry about the storm. Oh, remember, it's coming. Nice things are coming, whatever. You might begin to send signal that says that the discomfort they're feeling at the moment is not welcome. That you are uncomfortable with that fact. So you're trying to push them onto the positive straight away. But it's understanding that it takes time for that, for the sky to cease the weeping. That is the whole idea of that whole idea. Out of the blue, you don't control when that happens. It happens. And once you recognize it's happening, then you know that person is open to what the emergence will be. Right.
Just add something, Frank.
Yes, Herbert.
Yeah. I came in late and kind of was listening, so I missed most of it, and then I had some issues I was trying to sort out. But what popped in my mind as she spoke was, in that moment, I know we are focusing on the person, who is going through whatever is it they're going through, the grief and the pain. But something just clicked in my mind that hurt people. And if you sometimes need to, and I probably can't understand why Job's friend probably sat. That could be just sat and said nothing. Because so many times I've seen people who are damaged, who have had really bad marriages, and some may say, okay, they are the best ones to give advice, but you can't fix your own, but you say they want to fix somebody's own. It's almost like you're not at the place to speak. So sometimes it's best just be silent and just not say anything, because too many times I've seen people who are really at a very bad place, and you're going to be giving out of that state that you're in.
Right.
And a lot of time it causes so much damage to the person who is grieving versus, and it's good intentions, mind you.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes it's good to reflect on, am I at the place where I can really minister to this situation, or should I just leave it for somebody else?
I love that. I love that. And again, that's just a wonderful add-on to when we're talking about how to support people through grief, is this idea that you have to deal with your own stuff first before you can go and try and support someone else. Because you're right, you could then bring your bias, your bitterness of what you're still going through that you've not really processed, and begin to relay that and project that onto someone else, which then begins to create something different. So yeah, that is such an important piece.
So yeah, just a thought that was coming up in my mind when I just looking at the poem. The first line I saw. I mean, I don't have the answer, but it's just when I heard the word of kind of had to fix a past, and then what was going on in my mind is that, do we have to fix all the past? Do we have to fix it? Did they all have to be fixed, or can we fix all? That's my question. I just thought that maybe some things.
It's a great question, and that question will be relevant once I read the piece. So let me read it, and then we'll go there. Let's leave that question in the air, and we'll come to it. Do we need to fix anything? Past fixing. Hard to fix the past, no longer present. Wisdom, its only gift for a better experience of this current moment. I'll read that again. Past fixing. Hard to fix the past, no longer present. Wisdom, its only gift for a better experience of this current moment. So we already have a question there. Do we need to fix anything? Anybody else on this one?
I'd love to I'd love to say something about that. Again, short and sweet, but packs a punch. The word fixing I've taken out of my vocabulary when it comes to the human being.
Okay.
Because I feel that I grew up feeling there was something wrong with me. There was something broken. There was something needing fixing. But now when I look at the whole human existence and the whole human experience within that existence, I feel there's nothing wrong with any of us. We're living a life, and the majority is predetermined by our environment growing up in those first years and how we perceive that environment. We're all made differently with a different blueprint. So I've kind of shifted my language for me and helping others of embracing this human experience and embracing the bad and the good, the good and the evil, because I think in life, and even if you look at even religious stories and spiritual stories and stories from all the philosophers, there's good and bad, and there always will be, so embracing rather than running away from or suppressing or fixing in a way. So I just wanted to say that the word fixing, I think we need to use with caution as well.
I love that. I love how you summarize that we need to use with caution, because when it comes to human beings, what are you fixing? Because to fix, you need to say someone is broken.
Yeah.
And very often, really, it's not about something being broken. It's about maybe insights being present and people responding to those insights rather than something being broken.
Yeah, but we also feel it's what we're saying, but what we're not saying by what we're saying is also interesting, because how people perceive how we come about a problem they have, even though we're not saying there's anything wrong or needs fixing, they're broken, but by our words, we can imply that, like, if somebody says you need to change, what I hear is that there's something wrong with me rather than there's something I need to change. We can build a resistance in people if they hear hear something other than the words we're actually saying, or maybe even our intention.
Yeah, I hear that, which is, again, this whole thing of when you keep going over something and keep kind of reiterating it and keep kind of pointing in a different direction, then people say, okay, what is going on here? So it's this idea that, yeah, and it goes back to what Ines was saying earlier on about this idea of when someone is hurting over something, and the first thing you can think to talk is, well, you shouldn't have done that either, or you should have been this either, and this, that, and that either. And it's like, okay, where are you adding value there? Because obviously, if people don't come to their own insights, and it's you trying to impose that insight on them, you're right. Then you get resistance rather than being open, because they're kind of going, yeah, well, what are you trying to say? Anybody else on this one?
I will switch it to a marital problem.
Okay.
I have an experience that a couple decided to break up.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what you say, I've had enough. That's it. Full stop, period. So before it happened, after I had that one, I said, okay, I would like to talk to them, individually, not together. So I talked to the woman first with pen and my paper. Tell me what is exactly doing wrong, because I so much love you, the way you love yourself, the way you carry on. What happened? What is it that is broken? So the woman said, take your pen. Put the complaint down, write it down. So I said, all these things, I said, you are really strong to have taken all this, what you have written now. It's a lot. I said, you are brave. It is true you really love your husband. Let's leave that aside. We'll come back to that. Well done. He wouldn't take it and say, well done for saying you want to break up. Well done for being able to stand till that moment. That's what I said. Then I talked to the husband. They put the pen paper there. Not that I don't love her, but this, that. I said, okay, it's just a misunderstanding. If we treat this thing one by one, how solution will come? What I need to change? What you need to change? I said, things will work well. Well, the man said, well, I don't think so, but also if she agreed, we'll see. So I got soft points on both of them. Then I talked to them again. Then later I brought them together. I said, you go and write it down. What can I do? If I miss if I'm separated with this man, what will I miss? If I'm separated with this one, what will I miss? What? So they put everything together. By the time they come together, I said, I give glory to God for God's wisdom. Everything was sorted, one after the other. I was even surprised myself. Then after that, I called the wife. How's your husband? He said, well, I'm getting the best out of him now, even before the problem comes. He said, thank God for the problem. That's the problem that made the love exposed more. Mm-hmm. Really, that's very good. So when something is broken, it depends on how we can handle it. We too, we must think, we must put ourselves in that position of brokenness. If it's me, how will I take this? If it's me, what will I do? If it's me, can I ready to bear the blame? Am I ready to change? If you don't put ourselves in that particular person's shoes, we won't be able to get the real thing that is going on between them. And it is settled. They are both okay now.
That's such a wonderful story. And one of the things that it really brings to the fore is this idea of, if there is conflict or there's something that you're finding difficult with, it's like looking at what are your reflections. Is your focus on, oh, this happened in the past, and your focus is on what's happened in the past. And you choose your position today just based on what happened in the past, but you're not learning from what happened in the past. So this idea that if we just keep focusing and being anchored on what is no longer there, then are we really open for what is present? And so this piece is talking about wisdom being the gift from what maybe happened in the past that would rather not have happened. How do we then take that wisdom that we learn from it, right, and use that to craft a better experience for ourselves going forward? That is the idea behind this. Anybody else on this piece?
Yeah, when I first looked at the first part of this poem, it reminded me of the early stages of after I had the stroke, where I was focused on how I was before I had the stroke. That it was getting in the way of my actual everyday moments. But I did a lot of work and I had a lot of support. So I arrived at a different place in the journey where I started to really value what had come from having the stroke. I accepted what had happened to me. I accepted the changes, but most of all, I accepted that I can't go back to how things was, and that it was in my best interest to make the best of my present and to live in the moment. And from that, once I started to live in the moment, my experiences along the journey just got better and better and better, to the point now I can even look back and say, you know what? Having that stroke was not a bad thing, because it has changed me in so many different ways for the better. And so therefore, I live each moment looking ahead and learning from the past, but not living in the past. I'm not dragging the past with me. I've let go of that now. And I just look forward to what I have coming with a smile on my face. You know, I support other people who have had stroke. And I find that in all the different people, men and women, different ages that I've worked with, I find that that's one of the things that we all struggle with, is holding on to what we've lost. The loss of the independence, the loss of autonomy, you know, the loss of a home sometimes, because some people have to live in different places once they've experienced a stroke. The loss of your legs because you maybe can't walk. The loss of the movement in your hand because you can't hold a cup like you used to. But you find ways. But I think when someone's trying to support you, you have to allow that person to find their own way.
Yeah.
And all you're doing is just walking. It's like walking down the road and you're just guiding them on. You're just on the edge, guiding them along their own path. Because until they come to their own realization and cope with the past and the loss, they have to cope with that bit by accepting that they can't go back to it.
Yeah. And thank you so much for sharing that. That's so powerful and really reality, right? Because again, as we talk about this idea of grief, it's not just someone dying. If you suffer a stroke, there's grief happening because the person you used to be is no longer the person you are now because of those changes. And I love what you say there. One of the biggest part of the journey is coming to a place where you could accept that this has happened, to give you the ability to now focus on the things that allow you to move forward. And while we're still comparing the present to the past that is no longer here, which is the point of this, then you're unable to resource yourself to move forward. And it's kind of like, what can be different? What could be? And yeah, no, that's powerful. And that leads me to this next piece, because it pretty much says that, really. Just give me a second. I'll stick it in there and read it. It's called Painful Blessing. I feel the pain. The pain is real. It arrests my attention till it feels like it's all there is. When it is less raw, I catch a glimpse of the blessings it brings. I hear the whisper of the lessons it bears. I feel gratitude for all that is in service of me, and so you. I'll read that again, Painful Blessing. I feel the pain. The pain is real. It arrests my attention till it feels like it's all there is. When it is less raw, I catch a glimpse of a blessing it brings. I hear the whisper of the lessons it bears. I feel gratitude for all that is in service of me, and so you. What are you hearing? What resonates with lands?
Grateful blessing.
I think for me, the line that stands out is it arrests my attention. It arrests my attention because when you're in the middle of grief or pain, it just captures you. And you can do a lot of internal work. You can feel that you've overcome your demons, and you can even be helping others in terms of what you're doing. But as soon as it captures your attention, because we all are human, no one is, you cannot be in a place where your attention can't get captured. You nearly lose yourself and you forget everything. You get taken into that story, and that can just keep you in a spiral. But then it's beautiful because it says, as you know, when it gets less raw, then you can actually glimpse the blessing it brings. So yeah, those two lines really stood tall there for me.
Thank you very much for that. And that was intentional because I didn't want to create this idea that somehow something is wrong with you if your attention is arrested. It is a reality. But then it's not understanding that, okay, I know what's happened here. I've been captured by this, the pain of this thing, but there's a glimpse of something else. Anybody else on this?
I'm just to add to what you said. Yeah, I think it's real, really. And something I've learned, I think, because I work in an environment where I just get grief. I mean, it's just real hard. And I'm kind of person that like to kind of control it in terms of you want to deal with it now and get away now. And it doesn't work. It just causes more grief. So I think over the years, I've learned to just understand that it's real. I can't do too much about the initial pain. Let me just relax and let it just, next tomorrow will be okay. Or something like that, you know. I just kind of, the more I just get my head to understand, listen, that it's gonna, you know, maybe people have been affected, because normally when it will affect people, what they think, their perception and different stuff. But listen, tomorrow it will be different. Next week will be different. So I just have that kind of set myself like that. And like the poem said, over time, then you find out when it's raw, yes, painful. Later, it comes down. And then you find out that, you know, it's more of the people you're thinking, or even that they're kind of your own assessments of how they think. Maybe have even changed. They may not even think about it anymore. There's some incident or whatever have even changed. So yeah, so I just allow time to just deal with it, and maybe I might have to do something later, but it becomes much better than trying to deal with it initially, where it just causes more grief for me.
Yeah, thank you very much for that. Yeah, and it's that idea that it feels like it's all there is. It doesn't mean that's all there is, but in that moment when it says arrested your attention, it feels like that's all there is. But like I say, over time, that begins to narrow and loosen its grip slightly. And then you begin to be able to see other things and have it in perspective. And going back to what Claudette said earlier about, you know, if you said to someone, I can see the blessing in a stroke, they would think you're crazy. It's like, what that's a horrible thing to happen to anybody. How dare you say? But only the person who's experiencing it, who's allowed themselves to go through that reflective journey of putting things in perspective, can come out and say, actually, I can see some blessing that came from that environment. I can see some blessing. And going back to what Ines was saying about this couple that, you know, having gone through their reconciliation, we're now grateful for the thing that caused it, because it has now allowed them to see things that they didn't see before, and to hold things in the way they didn't hold it before, and to appreciate things in the way they didn't before. So it's this idea, and this is what it's in service of me and so you. So as you transform, and I think you were saying this, Dio, that then other people transform. So there's this commutative transformation that occurs as you show up differently, that your environment begins to evolve and transform around you. Thank you so much for that. Anybody else on this piece?
I think for me, yeah, I agree. The arrest my attention is very captivating. And for me, the line as well is that when it's less raw. I'm just looking here. Where's the line? Yeah, when it is less raw, I catch a glimpse. What came up for me is we must also understand, I think, for me and what I've been understanding is that grief and loss in all different forms changes the body, changes the physical. There's a Takotsubo syndrome where the heart actually changes shape. Our brain is to help, is there. One of its main functions is to keep us safe and protected really. So there are also physiological changes which arrest us in the physical body. And something else that came up was even through coaching and the helping journey is you cannot coach somebody in survival mode. So again, it's when there's a process there in the first few lines that it's real, it arrests my attention. This is how it feels. When it's less raw, again, there's a movement there. There's a space there of like, okay, what can you really do when it captures your body so intensely and you're in that pain and hurt and your body has even changed. But again, it's that hope of when it's less raw, when you look after yourself, just that you give yourself that attention to feel your body into your heart, whatever, all of this and that knowledge, then you can catch that glimpse of there can be a healing, there can be a gift and opportunity. Even in the lady that spoke about the stroke, yes, you'd never think that somebody could say such awful things. There could be a gift and opportunity, and you look back and you say, if this didn't happen, this wouldn't happen. Or in a way, I'm glad it happened because it helped me to look at my life as a whole. And there's so many inspiring stories like that. So I think, again, it's a great piece of transition from one, that it is a journey through loss and grief, really.
Yeah. And that's the beauty of it. This whole thing is a journey. This whole framework we're going through is a journey. We're at the point where we're looking at what wisdom comes from it. And it's that wisdom we learn from it that it is the blessing. Something I want to say about what Dio was talking about earlier as well, about this trying to fight what you're feeling, trying to say you shouldn't be feeling it. So there's this idea that one of the most precious resources we have is our energy. And when we begin to use our energy to fight what already is, or use it to fight to try and preserve what's already gone, which is the past, it drains us. So when we become aware that what is the energy cost of resisting reality that's already here, or trying to hold on to a past that's already gone, what is the energy cost of that? That is something worth bearing in mind, because if we can let go of that, we then release that energy into our resourcing. And when we have those energies available to us, it's better deployed to now look, okay, here I am right now. How can I use this energy and this wisdom to craft an experience that serves me going forward? And if it serves you, there's a good chance it would also be a blessing to those around you. Okay.
I always think that what you focus on, you get more of.
I hear that.
You know, because I mean, if you're talking about, say, for example, physical and emotional pain,
yeah,
you know, you can't run away from those kinds of pain, you know, but you have to be able to look beyond the pain and find ways to you can't ignore the pain, but you have to find ways to I don't want to say live with the pain. That's not the word I want to use, but I don't know whether manage might be a better word. Sometimes we have to manage the pain in order that we can help other people. Because if we can't manage our own pain, how can we then be able to help other people to manage their pain?
Which was the point Herbert was making earlier about that if you're going to support someone else, look at yourself and make sure that you've paid attention to what's going on for you, so you're not transferring something that's unhelpful to someone else. And again, going back to my point that I was making earlier on, I think once you accept that the pain is there and you sit with the pain to understand what message does it bear, right? Because part of the wisdom that we're learning is, and this is something that people don't appreciate, if it hit me hard that someone passed or something that I used to have is no longer there or something is changed, there is wisdom in that, because it's telling me that my relationship to that thing is equivalent to the pain that I'm experiencing as a result of it. Does that make sense? So part of the wisdom we're learning is the true, not the conscious story, but the true reality of what part that thing played in our lives. Because sometimes we grieve even stuff that never happened that we hope it happened, right? Do you see what I'm trying to say? So sometimes it's things that we said wasn't that important, but when we lost it, it hit us hard. Then we gain the wisdom that, okay, no, this is the extent to which I'm connected to this thing. This is the extent to which this thing mattered to me. This is the extent to the impact that this thing had or this person had on me. So the wisdom we're gaining even from the pain itself is important, because it's helping us understand the truth and the reality of how at the subconscious level we're connected to the object of our grief. Does that make sense?
One of the things just that popped in my mind a while ago is nothing is wrong with grieving, but I think what happens sometimes is that in the space where grieving takes place, it's a space that is to just ensure that it is a tent that is being built, because the tent seems to suggest nobody, we're going to move from here, versus the foundation and putting up a skyscraper. You're going to live there forever, which some people, that's what they do.
I love that. And that goes back to what Patricia was saying earlier, that we see grief as a journey, right? So being something you go through, you learn, and then you move on. And the final part of this framework talks about finding a purpose in the grief. And that is where you then take it and take that energy and make something positive out of it. So we go back to what Claudette was saying. She's now supporting other people who have experienced grief. So there's a purpose that came from the grieving of the fact that she lost maybe how she was before the stroke happened. And the acceptance of how she is now. So that acceptance is almost part of the understanding this is just a tent. Now I'm moving on. Yeah. Thank you so much for that. Okay, let's
Can I have one last one thing? Another thing that popped in my mind is what would the person that is gone, what would they say to you if they were to come back and say something to you?
I love that. I love that. That's another source of wisdom, actually. That's beautifully said. I'm glad you said that. So it's this idea that, because sometimes, especially when it's someone who's left, the pain we feel because we miss them, and then the love they have for us, where they would want us. I've actually had instances where someone recorded a video because they knew they had some terminal disease. So they had some notices they were about to leave the earth. And some of the things they say to their partners is actually, I would love you, once you've been through the process of grieving, to find someone else that you could be with. Whereas actually without that information, some of the story that person might tell was, I will be betraying the memory of this person if I met someone else and had them in my life, because what would that mean? Do you know what I'm saying? And sometimes you, the adult, might move on, but the children might go, oh, you can't replace our mother, or you can't replace our father, and so on and so forth. But, so you're right. You think, okay, if this person loved me like I believe they do, what would they be saying to me right now? That is a way to access wisdom that you might not be accessing when you're so entrenched in the grief of what you're going through. Thank you so much for that. Someone else was going to say something.
I wanted to say something.
Yeah.
To share my experience about, I have a person, well, it's a pastor of a church. People come to complain. It is me cooling them down. No, he wouldn't mean this. There's no point. If you know you can't forget it, ask the person. If you know you can do without it, try in a way and don't let it bring an argument. So it happens, then the table turned. This same person did worse thing to me, which I sat down in my corner. How am I going to get out of this? I love him so much. It is me advising others, don't get angry. But this won't happen to me now. How am I going to cope? So I went through this pain. But I said, how am I? I don't want to go on confrontation when you don't know the heart, whether it's ready to apologize, whether it's ready to, or you don't know the heart. So I just left it. And I said, I calm myself down. I get it out of my heart. I said, let me continue and begin to show more love. And I started showing more love. And the previous person was embarrassed with my love. He knew what I had done is wrong, but I continued to show more love to the extent that when I'm coming, he will just get up from the chair to come and greet me. And I left. Then, little by little, I was saying, well, this life. And you say, oh, Grandma, you are looking cool. I said, yes, there are so many things that people will throw onto you that you don't need to react. Otherwise, you will drain yourself. Otherwise, you have blood pressure. Otherwise, one after the other. Little by little, I slotted everything in. See, then you become guilty and guilty. So the love just increased and increased more. So I enjoy it even better than now, better than before.
That's an interesting one. I'm not quite sure where to go with that one, but I hear what you're saying. That no, it'd be nice if at some point that also brought some good closure. Actually, where he owned what. I hear what you're saying. At least you're not impacting your quality of life through that situation. That's what I'm hearing from that.
Just a quick one, really, just in response to what Herbert said earlier, because that's really a classic example of what really happens, where you can either you're grieving or somebody, you're trying to comfort someone, but it's not just only you that's grieving, and it's not only that person that's grieving. Right. So even the example you gave and how you responded, that using the example you gave, that maybe the person died and wish you marry, and then of course you've accepted that you've gone over it, and then you're ready to marry, but then you got the children and other people who feel betrayed. So, and you cannot ignore those people, the impact they would have, because unless you address those issues, those people, and help them with their grieving, you will not be able to enjoy whatever it is. So obviously, I'm going to just go and marry him, I don't care, but you're not going to enjoy it. So there's a wisdom. I just want to open that up.
No, it's a good point. It's a good point. How do you bring them along on that journey? How do you recognize where they are in their journey? And again, that's why this framework exists, because then you can walk someone through, okay, what are you? Are you still like understanding what grief is, that you're actually grieving? Are you recognizing there's a process to this? Are you now on what is the wisdom of this and how it's impacting you? And then we'll go on to embracing your new identity as a result and finding purpose in your grief. But yeah, it's kind of helping people locate themselves in the process, understanding, as we said earlier, that this is a process, it's a journey, and we can't rush people through that journey. So open dialogue will be helpful there. Thank you so much for that. Okay, I'm going to read this piece, Needed Knowing. I know this because it exists. I know this because the universe don't play hit and miss. I know it's needed because it arrived with me, the thing and the evidence of it, all here in full service, way before any sign the need exists. I'm going to read this again. Needed knowing. I know this because it exists. I know this because the universe don't play hit and miss. I know it's needed because it arrived with me, the thing and the evidence of it, all here in full service, way before any sign the need exists. What are you hearing? Resonance.
Are you talking about fate and destiny, Frank?
I'm not saying anything. Whatever you get is what you get from it. You tell me what you're seeing, and that's good enough.
Well, it's interesting because it's a bit like, this exists, it is. The universe, it don't play hit and miss is quite a big one around this is happening for a reason. And there's a bigger picture here, I guess. And again, it plays into what I was saying earlier, this human experience and this human existence. How much of our life is designed by destiny and things happen, and how much are we in actual control of, or we think we're in control of. But the thing and the evidence of it are here in full set before any sign the need exists. It's a little bit cryptic for me, to be honest. My brain, I'm trying to wrap my brain around that last part. But again, it just speaks into what I was saying earlier. Without life, there's no death. Without death, there's no life. What is born it dies. What is new becomes old. It is the process of life. And we're just a speck, really, on this planet in a big galaxy. And I think it is about feeling it, not numbing it, and embracing it, not running away from it. And yeah, an interesting one.
It is very interesting. What's even more interesting is, considering this is your first time here, you've already covered part of what we've done and part of what we're going to cover. So you're clearly in some sort of flow there. The idea that we talked about this cycle of life and death, and understanding that helps you accept one to live into the other. And this idea of not numbing it is what we'll come to next when we start talking about this idea of embracing a new identity. Is that how you kind of lean into and sit into what's actually there. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily go into saying everything in life is predestined. That's not necessarily what I'm pointing to, but there are very great elements of that there. The point here is, if it's happened, some part of it is in service of you. So how do you get to discover that part of it that's in service of you? Because if you're stuck in this idea that it shouldn't have happened and things should be how it was before, then you're not ready to see that. You're not ready to look at that. And we're talking about embracing, integrating wisdom here. So
yeah, I guess what comes up is if you want God to laugh, tell him your plans, basically.
I like that. I like that. Yeah, anybody else on this one?
Yeah, what comes to me isn't connected to grief, it's kind of, well, it might be. It's kind of, when you're born in this world, you have many gifts, you might have many things inside of you that you feel, that you know, that you sense.
Yeah.
But the world will have a way of telling you, you need to do this and you need to do that, etc., etc. And sometimes in letting go of what the world says and then coming into what you actually know and sense and feel, and start to embrace it. So it reads as somebody who's gone through a transition, and right now that place is that I'm gonna not necessarily just follow the world. I need to discover my own inner knowing. It's like, I know this. And at the end, it kind of reflects back to say, even if the world doesn't know it yet, I know it. It's in my bones. It's ancestral. It's universal. It's a timeline thing.
I love that. I love that. And again, this whole idea of grieving, you could be grieving who you could have been, right?
Yeah.
You could be grieving how you wasted so many years being something that you're not. There's so many ways to kind of frame that idea that, who am I really? And leaning into the reality of what's here now, what you know about yourself now. What is it? And that's the wisdom we're talking about. What is true for now that could help shape what's going to come next? There's also another element in this that's interesting, but I want to hear what others have to say before I put that on the table. Anybody else on this one?
I know this because it exists, but the reality I'm thinking is, what is it that is influence your knowing?
Right.
Because it is out of that you will have what I would call not the reality, but our reality. Because a month from now, 2 months from now, 3 years from now, that which you accepted and embraced, you would have moved on from that. So there is a different knowing. So you have moved on from this current reality. So 3 years now, I've moved on, I've gotten remarried, I actually have a new child, and that old knowing was only because of my current situation, my current status, my current mental capacity to understand, and it is not fixed. So I'm just thinking of the knowing. What is it that is energizing the knowing, and that determines what is it that you call the reality or a reality which really exists?
I like that, and this is the point. You've called it because it's evolving, right? But what I'm trying to call people to is this. And if you look at some of the pieces we looked at, today's about being present to what is, not hung on what was and trying to hold on to it, nor is it trying to fight what already is present. So we're still leaning into this area of acceptance that if this thing has happened, you didn't want it to happen, you'd rather it didn't happen, but the reality is it has happened. Well, if it has happened and it's happened to me, there's something for me to learn in it. And here's what's even more interesting. And this is the point that I was alluding to earlier on. It says way before any sign the need exists. So i.e., even before you were aware, and this goes back to what Patricia was saying about the illusion of control that we live under, that actually there are things evolving that we are experiencing, that when you look at the trigger of those events, happened way before we could have any chance to do anything with it, right? But now where we stay where we are right now, we see that it's happened. We ask ourselves then the question, how can this be in service of me? What can I take from this that will help me, empower me, that will give me a quality of life that allows me to move forward and continue to be? So that is the invitation on this piece. Anybody else on this?
The little I will drop in it is that I feel that a person in 3 stages.
Mm-hmm.
The younger stage, the middle age stage, and the present.
Mm-hmm.
I mean the future coming.
Mm-hmm.
For example, when I was young, there are so many opportunities that I've missed out of my knowledge, out of my understanding, that when I get to the middle, I will remember all those things. Had it been, I've taken such a step, I wouldn't have been where I am now.
Mm-hmm.
It is past. So what have I reason? I mean, there to talk to my new one now, present one. Okay, out of what I have missed, what can I do? How do I do to improve this particular present situation now that I wouldn't be regretting about the past?
Thank you so much. That is the point. That really literally is the point. Is okay, the past, yeah, the things you could have done, but what did you learn? Maybe it's the way you approach challenges that made you not take those. Okay, what challenges are available now that you can approach differently based on what you learned about reflecting the wisdom so that you can create a better future? Thank you so much for that. I'm going to read this final piece.
Do you know, can I speak?
Yes, ma'am. Okay.
Can I talk? Can you hear me?
Well, I can hear you. Yes, we can hear you.
There are many things that just years of living teach us.
Mm-hmm.
When we were young, we did these things. At that time, we didn't know any better. That was the level of our understanding.
Mm-hmm.
And then we move on and you reflect. And you remember, we hear people say, oh, that was when I was young and stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that was your level of understanding at the time. Now that you've moved on and you now say, oh, those were opportunities that I missed. But there's no point beating yourself about the bush because you couldn't have, you didn't have the many years, the experience to be wise enough to see those opportunities as useful and vital.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing to do is not to regret it, not to mourn for it to such an extent that you make yourself sick.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, if only I had done this, if only I had done that, if only I had done that, then I wouldn't have gone to this. Oh, you didn't.
Yeah.
So deal with it, move on.
Thank you.
If you don't move on, what is the problem? People who refuse to move on, or who cannot move on, or who are stuck in their thinking because they are stubborn. I know there are people who are not mentally strong enough to ride over things. I understand that. Not everybody is built the same way. However, there are certain things that maturity, that's the word, maturity does for you. And one of the things that I think maturity does for me is to realize that mistakes are going to be made. Mistakes were made by me, by my friend, my parents, especially when you come from the culture I come from. I mean, when I look back on many things that happened when I was growing up within my family, for example, okay, our mother died when we were young, and my father remarried 4 years later. That man never consulted us because it wasn't what was done.
Yeah.
And we weren't, at that time, we were not happy about it. But who are you to be consulted? That was the nature of the culture. It was done, therefore you get on with it. Now, when we got older, did I have the nerve to go to my father and say, but Dad, that thing you did, couldn't you have consulted us? I didn't have, you just didn't do that. Well, I wasn't bold enough to. So these things are done, and you learn to forgive your parents, for example, because when you think about it, how was my father parented?
Yeah.
Probably that was what he saw. Things happen, yes. You get on with it.
Yeah.
You just get on with it.
No,
and it's left for you to teach yourself. There's an Igbo proverb that says you use your tongue to count your teeth. You sit down and you decide, look, this has happened. I don't like it, but I'm not going to be stuck in the rut.
Yeah.
I'm going to move on and enjoy whatever it is. And when I see somebody else in that situation and they will listen to me, you can give a suggestion. If I were you, I wouldn't do this.
Right.
I wouldn't do this because I don't think in the next 5-10 years you think it's a good idea. They may listen, fine. They may not. They may curse you out. Go away. Who made you a judge? Who gave you that wisdom? Oh, fine. Maybe if you are best in the next 10 years, you might meet up with the person, and if that person is, they say, "Do you know what? If I had listened to you, I wouldn't have come to where I am today."
Yeah.
So,
thank you very much, Mama Kate. I'm just conscious of time, sorry. But what I'm hearing you say is, again, aligned with what we're talking about, this idea that regretting the past, we need to learn from the past in order to craft a better future and not stay.
Right.
Also, we do what we do based on what we know at the time. So the question we ask ourselves is, based on what we know now, what choices would make sense? So that's how we kind of move forward. One thing I'd like to do is read this piece and leave. We won't get time to discuss it, but I want to leave us as a kind of summation, really, of what we're talking about, because we all go through different things in life. It's called The Pathway, and then I'll end it there because I want to respect your time. Moving from side to side, from uncertainty to certainty, from undesirable to desirable, seeking the path to freedom, soon back to where it all began. Energy draining, life-sapping paradox and ambiguity, nesting in the path between, noticing what's so disconcerting at the very extremes. The beautiful lesson in every step. The result is the path, making it worth traveling. I'm going to read that one more time, the pathway. Moving from side to side, from uncertainty to certainty, from undesirable to desirable, seeking the path to freedom, soon back to where it all began. Energy draining, life sapping, paradox and ambiguity nesting in the path between, noticing what's so disconcerting at the very extremes. The beautiful lesson in every step. The result is the path, making it worth traveling. And I want to thank everybody for being part of today's journey and the pathway to living in the wisdom of what has been to create a future that could be. Thank you so much. I'd like to
thank you.
I'd like to do a checkout with everybody. What are you taking away from today? Claudette?
Thank you.
Oh, just that everybody's journey is different, and live your journey the best way you can.
Wonderful. Patricia, what are you taking away from today?
We're all human beings. We're on this journey and embracing it. And it's just great to connect with everyone and hear everyone's story around this. Thank you so much.
Thank you for being here. Auntie, what are you taking away from today?
Yes, what I'm taking away is enjoy the moment that you are in.
Yeah.
Don't press yourself. Don't knock yourself out. Hope for the best.
Thank you very much. Mama Kate, what are you taking away from today?
Life happens and life evolves. Nothing is static. So move with the flow and don't fight it. Just embrace it. Move on.
I love that. That's so beautiful. Silva, what are you taking away from today?
Just the power perspective. Everyone brings such richness and insight to the table.
Beautiful. And thanks for yours. Dayo, what are you taking away from today?
Yeah, same as others. And just to add on that, not stress myself.
That's it.
There have been triggers that's really caused things to happen. And just move on, really.
Right. Aki, Mr. Shower, what are you taking away from today?
Yeah, it's a great journey, different paths, and no need of stressing. And we all aim at the same destination, but different paths, and it's a journey that is an individual thing.
Yeah, I hear that.
So I'm learning. So, yeah.
We all are. Thank you very much, everyone.